Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. MC Mura here, and today we sure got something different because we're gonna be talking about this guy. This is the Dualsense. It is pretty much the controller for the PlayStation 5. I've been playing on bats on and off for fighting games for about like 10 years. And obviously I know that the majority of the players actually play on bats, especially the console controllers. Even if you're playing on a PC like me, like this is my controllers that I use every day. I just use a regular DualShock 4, and I think the majority of the players either use DualShock 4 or like an Xbox controller, maybe Switch Pro. Like these are the common ones. And obviously we are getting a new generation of fighting games. Already started kinda with Strive and with King of Fighters 15, but we're gonna get new games for the PlayStation 5 most likely. It does seem to be the console that fighting game players gravitate towards. So many players will actually be playing fighting games on this DualSense. So I thought it would actually be a good idea to give it a try, check it out. So I've been playing a couple of days with it. I've tried all sort of different characters, fireball characters, dragon punch characters, charge, even grapplers who have to do like half circles, full circles, instant air dives. Pretty much tried everything I can to stress test this controller, see how it responds to all sorts of different kind of inputs, and pretty much give it a review. This is based on my personal experience. Maybe if you happen to try it and you have gotten a different experience, that's totally fine. I am just judging everything based on this thing, this very particular PS5 pad. Now, the short review, if you want the short of it, this is a worse version of the PlayStation 4 pad. Like if you want the too long didn't watch, yeah, just go with the PlayStation 4 pad. But if you want a more detailed review, let's actually get into it. The first thing you will notice when you pick up the DualSense is that it's a lot heavier than the PlayStation 4 pad. This weighs a lot. It feels heavy to carry. Now, typically if you're holding it like that, this is not a very big deal. But the issue is many players love to hold the controllers in a claw grip, right? So you're doing something like that where like your fingers are on the face buttons and you're pretty much lifting it with the one hand. The issue with this is because it's heavier, it's gonna strain on your hand, right? Your left hand will most likely be strained from carrying it, and that is an issue. This even gets worse in a while, but I will get into it. So the first thing I tested was actually the claw grip, and yeah, I did find it harder to carry this controller in a claw grip for longer amount of time. It did actually make this part of my hand, I don't know if you see, like this part, kinda ached after a while, simply because of carrying this all the time. The next thing you will notice is that it's actually a lot bigger as well. So if we put these two side to side, maybe you can't actually see it, maybe this will give you like more of an idea. Still not perfect, but yeah, it is bigger. And I am someone who play Cody, as you might know. So Cody actually requires a lot of finger gymnastics, right? But because your hand is kind of like you have to go in further just to grab the thing, it made it a little bit more difficult. It's still manageable. It's not dramatically different to the point where you can't do what you were doing with Cody previously, but it was just that little bit harder. Now, let's talk about good things. I don't want this to be an entirely negative review. One of the first things that I actually really liked about this is the triggers, right? The shoulder buttons. One thing you will notice is that especially the bumpers or the R1 and L1, they are a lot bigger, like the buttons themselves, they are a lot bigger than the PS4 pad. So they are much easier to find. And if you notice, right, they're very clicky. The triggers and the bumpers are very clicky, so they actually feel great to play. I like the shoulder buttons here way more than the PS4 bad one, so that's actually pretty nice. Now, this is pretty much where it stops with the advantages for me, because everything else I'm gonna talk about for me is gonna be negative. The first thing that you will notice immediately, and this is the one thing even without playing fighting games that I noticed about the PlayStation 5 pad, is that the face buttons are very mushy. Notice this, they are not really responsive. I don't know if you can even hear the button clicks. While with the PlayStation 4 pad, Yeah, this is much more responsive. This is giving you feedback, right? So the mushiness of the face buttons actually make it feel really weird. And also the surface itself feel kind of soft. Like they feel softer than the PS4 pad. So I find it like hard to know if you pressed or not. Like it doesn't give you good feedback is all. And for a fighting game, I do think that kind of hurts. Now, the main issue. The main issue with this pad, this is like an issue, but you can kind of work it out. The main issue for me was this guy. This is not a terrible D-pad. I wanna stress this. It's not a bad directional pad. It's just so much worse than this one. Because I do think actually PlayStation 4, this D-pad is actually one of the very best I have played for like a console controller. And this one is not bad, but it's weird. It doesn't feel as good for a number of reasons. The one thing you will notice immediately once you use the PS5 controller is that this doesn't, like the suspension on it feels different. So hitting the diagonals actually feel a lot harder. It feels like you have to press harder to actually get the down back or the down forward or the up forward, the up back. These feel harder to get, right? And actually this is what I was talking about when I said the issue will be compounded. Because if you're using a claw grip, having to actually press harder while actually carrying a heavier weight, this actually gets to your hand. This can give you hand cramps, which is an issue, right? And because you have to press harder just to get the inputs, obviously your thumbs as well are gonna get sore. I have never gotten like sore thumbs in years, like genuinely years, and this thing actually gave me sore thumbs. So because of how heavy you have to press it. Now, one of the other issues that I had with it is the because you have to press so hard, it also makes it difficult to press the left shoulder buttons. So for example, if I'm using Kodi and I want to do a like quarter circle forward into L2, which is like the triple kick button, so you do like an EX Ruffian kick, yeah, this is straining. This is honestly straining. The controller feel like it's straining on your left hand, which is something that I don't think should be the case. It feels like you're putting a lot of strain on this part of your hand and on your elbows, right? The elbows, or I guess this is the wrist, the wrist and this part, not sure what it's called. Yeah, these guys get strained. And obviously your thumbs, because the pad is actually a bit stingy. Maybe actually if you happen to play with it for like a couple of months, maybe it will get softer, because that happens a lot with pads. But even like a fresh out of the box PlayStation 4 controller feels a lot better, right? And this will do you fine for the most part. Again, I have to say, you do get kind of used to it, but once you do, it's fine, right? You can do like fireball motion are fine, DP motions are fine, half circle motions are fine, even SBD motions are fine. The one motion that I found to be very annoying was instant air moves. So if I wanted to do something like Kami's instant air dive kick, right, or something like instant air jumping command grab with Zangief, yeah, these were hard. Motions where you have to do like complex motions and quickly, and because you have to press them, like you have to do a heavy press and do it quickly, these feel straining on your hand. They really do. After a couple of tries, you know what, I was just tired. So I don't know, it's a fine controller. If I had to rate it, I will give this guy, the PS4 pad, I will honestly give this like a 9 out of 10. I just think it's a fantastic fighting game controller. But the DualSense, I will give it I would say 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. I think it's functional. Like if it's your only choice, you can work with it. But for me personally, as long as I am playing on PC, I'm gonna be playing on a PS4 pad. Again, not terrible. This is not bad. This is not like original Xbox launch Xbox 360 controller where the D-pad was awful. This is fine. You can get it to work. And again, maybe after a couple of months of use, it will actually soften up a little bit. I've already had the PS5 for like a month, and it's still kinda, still kind of firm and stiff, so I'm not sure. But maybe over time it will improve. I'm honestly, we'll see. We will see. And maybe it is just this one product, and maybe the others are like different. So maybe I just got a little bit unlucky with this one. And make no mistake, I actually have, if I have fat fingers, right? I know if someone have like thin fingers, it might actually be more difficult for them. So I'm lucky to even have like fat fingers, which makes sliding and that sort of deal even easier for me. And that is pretty much it. Hopefully this is just the one case. Maybe the others will be better. Maybe in the future they will release like further modified versions, I'll say, with a little bit better d-pad. I wish the mushiness of the controllers would actually get adjusted, because this need to give you better feedbacks, but the triggers are actually great. They are a big improvement. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment. If you actually have a PS5 pad and use it for fighting games, let me know your feedback if you actually enjoy it or think the PS4 pad was superior. I will be leaving a link to the Patreon page, the Discord server page, and there is a Twitter page in the description below if you're interested in following. Thank you very much for watching and stay safe.